Welcome to the streets of Nuremberg. Welcome to the Norisring. It's the first ever street race for the Prototype Cup Germany here at the Norisring. The second season for this wonderful series. We had some great entertainment at Hockenheim, followed that up at Oschersleben and Zandvoort, but now something entirely different. The narrow, winding streets of Norisring beckon for these mighty LMP3 cars, and it is that man there, Lawrence Herr, who starts on pole position. His co-driver, Matthias Luton, is the defending trophy champion, and he will be wanting Lawrence Herr to disappear from that front row start, that pole position start, into the distance. And there is Matthias Luton on the side, eating ice creams here in the glorious sunshine. There's a name that many people will be familiar with, Marcus Pommer. Well, we're used to seeing him in GT3 and GT Masters, but he's now in the Racing Experience Duquesne, lining up second on the grid as we get ready for this race 7 of a 12-race season. It is the second half of the season for the Prototype Cup Germany. It seemed like an awfully long time ago that we started at Hockenheim. In fact, it was back in April, and it was there that we saw Julian Apotholo and Oscar Tunyo take the first win of the season. They were looking good in the championship hunt, but an awful time at Zandvoort just a couple of weeks ago saw them record 2 non-finishes, and suddenly they've got a lot of work to do. There is an impressive driver, Max van der Snel, along with his father, Mark. They have proven to be a really potent combination. We've really enjoyed watching them get better and better. Very much, I wouldn't say an amateur team, but certainly a team that are not at the level of some of the others, but still scoring well. There is Garcia Espinar Belen in the number 5 car, the Van Ommen Racing by Datalab Racing Duquesne, and Belen is sitting in for Gabriel Yokova. Now, Gabriel, who won the last race out along with co-driver Xavier Lavieres, won the last race at Zandvoort, is currently doing a GT4 racing in France, so has been replaced for this weekend. There is a man who stole the headlines last time out at Zandvoort, Jan Marszalkowski, who along with co-driver Jacob Stixma won the first race of the weekend, and it was a mighty impressive win, having timed the pit stop to absolute perfection and bringing the car home to win their first race ever in the Prototype Cup Germany. Now, Jan Marszalkowski has been teamed up with Marco Kasich for the first 2 rounds of the season. He had Jacob Stixma Zandvoort, but he's going to be running that car on his own here at the Norisring. So a lot of pressure on his shoulders. He won't be handing over to another driver, as most of the other drivers in this field will. I say most because the other one who's going solo for this weekend is Danny Sufi in the number 2 Conrad Motorsports Ginetta. He has shared with Nico Silva and also with Axel Jeffries over this season, but he is going solo this weekend. The Prototype Cup Germany, well, the drivers will all need to come into the pits for a mandatory stop. A driver change for all bar the 2 that I've mentioned. There is a minimum pit stop time. The pit stop time will vary depending on the category of the driver or whether the driver is solo. So the likes of Jan Marszalkowski, he's going to have 110 seconds. He's going to have to be in the pits from pit entry to pit exit. He'll have to be there for 110 seconds on account of the fact that he's a silver graded driver who is running on his own. Danny Sufi also will have to have a pit stop of 110 seconds. Many of the other drivers will be a shorter pit stop than that. Dina Steiner and Konstantin Skoll, because Dina Steiner is a bronze driver and Konstantin Skoll is silver, their pit stop will only be 95 seconds minimum time. So a lot of strategy to play out here, and it won't be until the pit window is closed that we will get to see exactly where the drivers are in relation to each other. We're looking at Alex Kaskatau. Great to have him on the grid. The Romanian driver has been in LMP3 prototype since 2020. They've got a 7th and a 3rd, along with a co-driver Elias Sparandio at Zandvoort. And Elias Sparandio has been something of a sensation in the Prototype Cup Germany. Has a habit of picking up 7th places, has had several of those, but a third place at Zandvoort in race 2 was his best result of the season. So we are at the Norisring, a circuit that's 2.3 kilometers around, just 4 turns, 3 to the left, 1 to the right, racing in an anti-clockwise direction. The formation lap has started. The roar of these cars is phenomenal, except for one, which is struggling to get going now. Who is that on the grid? Finally, the lights come on, the car springs into life, and it is, looks like it's Jakob Erlbacher in the number 70 car, I think it is, who finally gets the car rolling on the formation lap. So already, the hard work of qualifying has been undone with that car not actually getting out of the blocks to start the formation lap. But all is good, everyone is going. Let's take a look at the starting grid for this race 7 of the season. It is Lawrence Herr and Marcus Pommer on the front row of the grid, an all Duquesne front row. Oscar Turnot and Max van der Snel, one half of the father-son team, riding up on row 2. Great stuff from Max. Garcia Espinal Belen and Jan Marszałkowski line up on row 3 of the grid, and on row 4, Robin Rogowski has Gustavo Kirilau for company in the BWT Muka Motorsport car. Dino Steiner and Jakob Erlbacher, who line up on row 5, all being well, and Danny Sufi and Sebastian von Gartzen making an all Conrad Motorsport row 6. Row 7, Alex Cascatau and Kevin Rorscheit bringing up the rear of the grid. You can see how short this track is. We have had an extra formation lap for some of the cars. Oh, and problems! Already somebody has gone in. That is the 35 car. A massive accident for Alex Cascatau. This is going to be a red flag before we've even got the race going. That has been a big impact off the line. What an absolute shame. The car that qualified in 13th place has had a big impact. Looks like he is all okay. So Alex Cascatau, oh my goodness, he did all the work of qualifying clearly on cold tyres, and although the air temperature is 31.8 degrees centigrade and it's 34 degrees on the track, the tyres are still cold. They are not allowed tyre warmers in in Prototype, get me P's right, Prototype Cup Germany. They're not allowed tyre warmers, so getting heat into the tyres is important. And on the formation lap, the car has clearly got away from him. He's gone into the barrier by the looks of things. I don't think he's collected anybody else, but there is an awful lot of debris. This is going to take a bit of time to clear it up, I should think. So, wow, Alex Cascatau, the driver who we had high hopes for and who scored so well at Zandvoort, finishing on the podium in the second race. The cars are now being brought back into the pit lane under these red flag conditions. So the race not even getting to the start, and already very, very high drama indeed. You can see the car's being led past the temporary garages here at the Norisring. We saw Alex just moving around in the car. Clearly there has been a big impact, and the medical team are on hand just to make sure that he is well looked over and looked after. Of course, the driver's well-being is the highest priority. You can see the cars on the left-hand side of the screen coming to a stop in the pit lane. The doors are opened, and it's going to be a bit of a delay getting this thing going. So right in front of the crowd on the pit straight, something has occurred involving the number 35 car, the BHK Motorsport Ligier, and that is a big incident, and you feel like they might struggle to get that back together for tomorrow's race. And Elio Sperandio will be looking on very frustrated. He has had a 7th place in both races in the season opener at Hockenheim, where he was running solo in that car. Then he had Lucas Moron for company at Oschersleben, picking up a 9th and a non-finish. And then at Zandvoort last time out, a 7th place in race 1, and along with Alex Cascatau, and a 3rd place in race 2. So he's not going to get a chance to take the wheel of that car, certainly not this afternoon. and potentially not at all this weekend. So the Prototype Cup Germany cars now into the pit lane, and doors open. It is incredibly hot here at the Norisring, and the drivers staying cool is half the challenge, really. And conversations to be had all around. We haven't seen a replay of that crash, but I think our top priority at the moment is just to make sure that Alex Cascatau is all okay. And oh my goodness, you can see how much damage has been done to the barrier. So that was a big impact. I expect he's lit the tyres up. He does look to still be in the car at the moment. The rest of the marshals and the crew coming and picking the bits up off the track. Of course, every little piece of carbon fibre is the potential for a puncture, and we want to get that cleared up as quickly as possible and as efficiently as possible. Puncture in one of these cars is nothing too amusing. So the marshal's now sweeping the track, and so easy on cold tyres, I should think. Very much a downforce-based formula. The LMP3 is an entry-level prototype car. The LMP3, which was launched in 2015 by the Automobile Club de l'Ost, and very much intended for introducing young drivers and new teams to endurance racing before they progress to higher classes of prototype racing. And then there was a second generation of LMP3 car that was introduced in 2020. But the cars, unlike some of the other machines that were here at Norisring, all the other machines that are here at Norisring this weekend, the cars are very much about downforce, very much about generating the downforce, and quicker than their GT3 counterparts that are here this weekend, about half a second quicker than the DTM cars and the GT Masters cars on average that have been circulating around here. These LMP3 cars powered by naturally aspirated 5.6-litre Nissan V8 engine, the type VK56 for those who are interested, producing about 455 brake horsepower. Now you can see the work has started. Of course, safety is everything here, and replacing the fence is the priority. The team working very hard indeed. We do have a curfew here at the Norisring, so there is not a lot of time. I can hear a saw in the background, so modifying the fence, but important to get the fence in safe. And look how quickly the Onco is unbolted and removed. And the fence being repaired. So this is going to be, I think, a fairly lengthy stoppage just to get this fence sorted out, and a lot of debris from that car strewn across the racetrack. You can see bits, there's a wing mirror there against the fence. That really was a massive impact for that car. Our priority is the well-being of Alex Cascatau, and I know he is being attended to by the medical staff out on track. And the miracles are being worked by our marshals here at the Norisring. Of course, the barriers running right alongside the track. There's no runoff area, there's no gravel traps, there's no opportunity. If you lose it, you're going in hard, and as we've just proven, those barriers don't move. They might bend slightly, but they certainly don't move. And look at this, the sparks flying. Great job from our marshals here. There we go, there's a lesson in how to build a safety fence, I think, going on here. Cutting out the bits that are bent and broken, and replacing it with some nice shiny bits. The fence, much of the fence that remains in place here all year round, in fact. Although it's a street circuit, a lot of the street furniture that is associated with racing remains here. It's just the chicane that is put in, and of course these roads are used as public roads all year round. This is the only event where motorsport takes place on the streets, and the public use it the rest of the way around. It is a street circuit. It's the only street circuit in Germany, and it's almost an oval. It is 3 straights, 2 hairpins and 1 chicane, but it's really, when you look at it from above, kind of 2 hairpins joined together by 2 straights with a kink in one of the straights. And it really is shades of NASCAR, the way the cars run up against the concrete barriers and use all of the circuit. It's known as the Franconian Monaco. That's the nickname that the circuit has, but the only thing it has in resemblance to the Monaco Grand Prix circuit is the fact that the circuit is quite narrow and is on the streets. But apart from that, that's where the similarity ends. Exceptionally short circuit and just 2.3 kilometers. Right, tear that bit off. Bit of recycling there, in the skip it goes. That's a big old stretch of fence they've had to rip out there, isn't it? Great job by our team. Pickaxe in hand. How pickaxe will travel. They're going to have fun attaching that to that very bent post in the background, I should think. So supervision going on while that is sorted out. If we get any news on Alex, we will just let you know as soon as we possibly can. But the fence doing what it is meant to do, and that is keep these cars on the track. Public safety obviously is the highest priority. Catch fencing very high. The tribune, which is the massive area of stepping that runs along the pit straight, of course, a very famous part of Germany, very famous part of Nuremberg for many reasons. It's now been used for seating the many thousands of people that are here. You can see the ambulance is still on scene here on the pit straight. I've got no indication as of yet as to when we might be going again. It looks as though the driver is out of the car now, which is great news, Alex Cascatau, and we wish him all the best. The remnants of that car, the number 35 BHK Motorsport Ligier, of course BHK, the team from the UK who have fielded that car, and team that was established in 2016, very experienced in prototype racing and competing in ELMS, and this year has been their first season in Prototype Cup Germany. And they're going to have their work cut out getting that car back together. Of course, it sometimes looks worse than it is. Cars are designed to fall apart, to dissipate energy, and to protect the driver. The driver's sitting in something of a monocoque. Right, let's have a look here. We can see what happened. Here he is. He's just lost it on his own, head first into the barrier. That is a massive impact. So just lighting up the tyres, the car swaps ends and into the barrier he goes, and the car just disintegrating. There's another angle here. You can see him coming round. He just gives it a boot of throttle, and the back end steps out and into the barrier. I'm joined alongside, actually, by the voice of DTM this weekend, Dave Richardson. And that's the problem with the Norisring, is it does give us some very nasty incidents like this, doesn't it?
Do you know, I'm just watching that in replay, Brian, and just the way that car snapped, you know, before it was thrust into the barriers, I am just beginning to wonder whether that was just throttle or whether there was something amiss at the back of the car, because it really snapped. You know, it's conjecture, isn't it? Of course, and all we care about is the driver. Barriers, of course, can be replaced and being done a very good job here by the team, and I think it's not going to be the work of a moment, if I'm honest with you.
No, bring on the potter's wheel, that's what I say. So, the barrier is obviously being replaced. We will get this race hopefully underway. I mean, it's 455 brake horsepower coming out of one of these naturally aspirated 5.6 litre Nissan V8 engines. The ground shakes when the race starts catching a little bit of a rest. That's Lawrence Herr having a kip. I'm feeling slightly jealous, if I'm honest. The power, and so, you've got no heat in those tyres, no tyre warmers, so you're booting it up, trying to get the heat into those tyres, and 450 plus brake horsepower through those rear wheels. The car's dependent on downforce, and then at no speed.
There isn't any. You may well be right. It wasn't the first angle that we saw. It wasn't even the second. It was the third camera angle.
Yeah.
It just looked like it really, really snapped around.
It did, didn't it? And, I bet at that point he was certainly a passenger, and you can see the remnants of that car. So BHK are going to have a long night if they want to get that car back on the grid. Of course, we will be back for another prototype race tomorrow, which is excellent news. And hopefully we'll bring you an update on Alex Cascatao as soon as we can. We're having another look at that incident just out onto the pit straight, and the car spearing the barrier buckling, so absorbing some of the energy, and the car doing what it's designed to do, which is to disintegrate. That is what the cars are designed to do, to dissipate the energy and protect the driver in the monocoque. But the car getting properly airborne, and you can see it there.
Just watch. Look, it really did snap.
You can see the tyre marks on the track where he turned around, where it started to slide, can't you?
Yeah.
So I dare say we will find out eventually what happened there. One thing is for sure is that will not be in the race today, potentially not tomorrow either, because that is one seriously damaged car.
It's on the low loader now.
Yeah, and they're clearing that away. The fence is coming back together, so all hail the staff who are doing a wonderful job here. And the race hopefully will be underway before too long.
I remember being here many years ago with a similar incident, but on the back straight. Weather conditions were completely different in that it was pouring down with rain, and the maintenance team having to repair the barriers with big disc cutters in the wet.
We've had some of that, the disc cutters, but not in the wet. Yeah, I mean, it's not the
They're
worst
skilled people.
They are. Look at this great use here of, was it a forklift or a tractor or something?
It's a Manitou.
The post was bent. I was wondering what they were going to do
not
about
anymore.
that.
It's not anymore.
Yeah, bring in the heavy lifting equipment, that's what I say. And great job. How efficient are they? You know, if you or I had to repair this barrier, we'd be scratching our heads for a day, and then it'd be about a week's work.
19 mil open-ended spanner. Yeah, you're absolutely right. We'd make a right fuss of that. These cars are absolutely, they're just works of art, Brian. I am so envious that you have the opportunity to talk about these prototype cars, because they are just lovely cars.
They are. It's a privilege as we look at Oscar Tunyo there and Julian Apostolos, who are, excuse me, in the pits just reflecting on what has occurred. I mentioned it earlier, Oscar Tunyo and Julian Apostolos, well, they had a torrid time at Zandvoort. Oscar Tunyo finding the barriers on the opening lap of the race, and something probably quite similar but not as heavy as the action we've just seen. And then race 2, also a non-finish, and Apostolos and Tunyo, who are championship contenders, coming away with 0 points from Zandvoort. That is a car and a partnership which has been really impressive. Max and Mark van der Snel in the number 99 car, father and son, the Dutch duo. Mark van der Snel, a bronze-rated driver. You know, he's not a professional driver, full-time professional driver. Max van der Snel, one of the up-and-coming stars. They have been so impressive, and they have improved and improved as the season has got on. They got a 5th place. That was round 3. That was at Oschersleben. But they have been really impressive for kind of privateers. Really enjoyed that, watching them.
Yeah, it's interesting to watch this progress. And the other thing to consider is that, you know, we're actually reaching the sharp end of the championship, aren't we?
Yeah, part 2 of the season. Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. And I think part of my surprise for that is, of course, that actually, from an ADAC point of view, our season started quite late because of everything that happened over the closed season, and thank goodness that it did. So there they are with those 19 mil bolts that I was mentioning. I think they're probably a bit bigger than that, if I'm honest with you, but doing a great job here in the new Armco going on.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. You did just see a quick shot of the number 77 car, the DKR Engineering Duquesne, with Robin Rogowski at the wheel and Valentino Catalano. Catalano, who's come through the ADAC Formula 4 series, and Rogowski, who we saw in ADAC GT4 last year. They are second in the championship. They are just 4 points behind Gary Hauser and Marcus Palmer. Right, estimated start of the 10-minute countdown is at 5 o'clock local time, so we're about 15 minutes away from a start. Good to see the ambulance leaving Alex Cascatao. I have no doubt will be taken to the medical centre and checked over, but we've got probably about 15 minutes before we are able to get this race underway, which is pretty impressive considering the amount of damage that was done.
And given that we have other things, of course, on track as well, I'm just wondering whether the duration might be altered, whether the race control will take a look at that, because, of course, another one of the unique foibles, if you will, of a street circuit like this one is that you have to be considerate of the neighbours around. It is right in the city, isn't it? Well, it's not right in the middle of the city, but it's not far away. It's about 5 kilometres, I guess, from the city centre of Nuremberg.
Yeah. And these things make some noise. I practically hear those back in Sussex, I have to say.
Not only these, what's following, the DTM Classic cars, which, cars from years gone by, which are also tad loud, it has to be said. So
great fun to watch. And I have to say, if you ever get a chance to watch a prototype race, a Prototype Cup Germany, I would recommend it, because when this lot take off,
yes,
the ground absolutely shakes. It is a monstrous sound. There is no sound like it in motor racing that I've come across. The rumble, you can hear it from miles away, I should think. They are mighty impressive. As already mentioned, lapping even quicker than the headlining DTM cars that are here this weekend.
Yeah.
And really, a formula that is downforce based. I think a street circuit as small as this is probably testing the drivers to the max, I'd say.
It's a challenge, isn't it? There's no question about that. They've got to be on their mettle.
Yeah.
That's for sure. It's great to see. Thousands of spectators have stood by to watch this Prototype Cup Germany, their race one of the weekend here at the Norisring. It is testament, I guess, to what you were saying about the evocative noise and such like from these cars that they want to experience. And once experienced, I'm guessing it's never forgotten. So there we are. We're reaching the conclusion of this repair job. Well done, chaps. Doing a good job here and working at a rate of knots, may I say, in temperature conditions which are sauna-like.
Yeah, it really is. We're well above 30 degrees, and tomorrow we're expecting significantly more. At the time of the stoppage, well, we never even got to the green flag. Come on, chaps, pull. The driver at the front, Lawrence Herr, good job from him putting on pole position. He and co-pilot Matthias Luton, the reigning trophy champion, are looking for their first win of the season. Second on the grid was Marcus Palmer and Gary Hauser. Marcus Palmer, a name that we've spoken about many times over the years in GT Masters.
Indeed so, and isn't it extraordinary that you look at some of the names that are involved in all sorts of categories of racing nowadays, and I guess it's the ravages of time, certainly in my regard, that you're seeing names that you've been speaking about for seemingly years and years and years, and they've made their way up through the echelons of motor racing. And slightly disconcerting, I think, that and we were talking just earlier on, and one of the great drivers in DTM, of course, is René Rast, and it's slightly frightening that both René and I, we laugh about it, that I was the voice on site when he took his Polo Cup Championship win in years gone by.
That was a horse and cart powered back in those days, wasn't it?
How dare you.
There's another replay. I should think that the BHK Motorsport team would be quite happy if we didn't have any more replays of that. Spectacular to see, but this is why we are under red flag conditions. We never even took the green flag. An incident during the formation lap that saw the number 35 car being driven by Alex Cascatao, the driver from Romania, who is alongside Elias Sparandio in the number 35 car. for whatever reason, spearing off into the barriers, doing a lot of damage to the barriers, and he has been taken off to the medical centre for checking up as well.
Didn't do the world of good to the car.
It really didn't do the car a lot of favours, but it's the car crumbling that protects the drivers.
Absolutely.
And hats off to these guys here in the boiling hot sunshine.
And they're jogging around.
They are. I mean,
getting this done. It's.
If it was me, I'd be like, right, tea break time. I'll be back in 15 minutes. But none of that.
Impressive effort.
The crowd are staying and watching because they know how spectacular Prototype Cup Germany is out there on the steps of the pit straight, looking down from the elevated view, a great view of the circuit here.
The other thing to be considered, Brian, is that an awful lot of the infrastructure, as we get the 10-minute board now, so we're on schedule, a lot of the infrastructure here in the Norisring is brought in for this one weekend. I mean, credit to the MCN and the local organising club. I mean, it is a Herculean effort.
Yeah.
But they do it, and I think it is hugely well supported by the locality as well. That they recognise that for the space of a weekend, it is something so special and so unique. And what a location. I mean, you know, I was extolling the virtues of not only the circuit but also the Nuremberg city when we were discussing coming over here, and I think you probably will accept that I was right in that it is. If you are thinking about a city break anywhere.
Oh. It's a wonderful city. The architecture is phenomenal. We've been out for some meals in the evenings and walking through the centre of Nuremberg. It is just the most beautiful place. Some wonderful bridges and rivers and some incredible architecture. Of course, there's the city walls as well. What are you laughing at now? That's Jan Marszałkowski.
No, it's got nothing to do with Jan Marszałkowski. It was more to do that someone last night, as we walked back to our hotel, thought it would be a great idea to show off. And came an absolute gutser, didn't he? And, you know, it's this thing that they say karma sometimes comes right.
Oh, yes. Yes, oh, yes.
Absolute loon.
I'm kind of hoping he's watching. Shout out to the plonker on the motorcycles doing wheelies
on a street
while wearing a shorts and T-shirt. And he came past us, a very noisy bike, and we were like, we weren't, well, we may have not been using hand signals, but he came past us, and then a few minutes later, a loud clatter. I mean, I'm pleased to say he didn't injure himself, but
really?
It was quite amusing to see at the time, having done his wheelies. I think he collected something, and the bike was a little second-hand.
There's your ironing, Brian.
There you go. That's where his shorts ended up. The strong wind blew him away, didn't it? So, yes, I was going to say the Tribune, which is the stepped area that looks down on here, is just part of the viewing area here at the Norisring. There are grandstands that are built especially for the occasion, which they no doubt started building some weeks ago, packed with people, as we look at the number 77 car with Robin Rogowski at the wheel coming back to the grid position. It seemed like a long time ago that we were attempting to take the green flag of this race, but now the grid is forming. If all goes to plan and they get that thing together, and Marszałkowski quite late out of the pit lane, so I don't know, maybe he was having a comfort break or something, but he's now back in the car and all good there. But we're about, I reckon, 7 minutes away from getting this thing going. You can see them still beavering away on the left-hand side of the screen, getting that fence repaired and put back together, and hopefully very shortly we will get the race to you. Now the race distance has been reduced slightly, not by much, by 3 minutes, so the new race distance will be 52 minutes plus 1 lap, so that's good. The pit window remains unchanged, so great news is we're not going to lose any racing from the Prototype Cup Germany. Well, it'll be 3 laps, 3 minutes, which at
4 laps.
Yeah, that's about 8 laps. No. So yes, the race just marginally reduced, but yes.
Credit to these guys.
Round of applause to them.
So hard.
Look at that.
Even sweeping up as well. We don't get that with tradespeople where we come from. Brilliant stuff, you know. And yeah, credit to them, and getting us back to enjoy our sport with the integral safety of the barriers back to 100%.
Yeah, and if we do get any news on Alice Cascatau at any point over the weekend, obviously we will pass that on. We did see him moving around in the car, and I expect they were just very careful getting him out of the car.
Of course.
You can't just wrench a driver out when you've had an impact like that. You just got to take it easy, put him on a backboard just because that's what you do.
It's precautionary.
And he'll be checked over in the medical centre. Hopefully he will be all okay, and we will see him back out on track tomorrow, or if not, at the next round. It is a 12-race season for the Prototype Cup Germany. We are at the halfway point of the season. The halfway point of the season.
Very good.
And races 7 and 8 here at the Norisring. We head to Assen at the beginning of September in the Netherlands, a circuit that I've actually never been to, so looking forward to that. Races 9 and 10. I'm told it's a fascinating circuit.
It is. I think I've only been there twice.
Right.
But yeah, it's another one that's well worth being on the bucket list, and pleasingly, it's on yours.
Yes, absolutely. So looking forward to seeing that. And then this season comes to a halt. 200 or 300 kilometres from here at the legendary Nürburgring. Sadly, not on the Nordschleife, but on the Nürburgring. Races 11-12. That's in October, 13th to 15th of October, where we will be crowning what will be a new champion in Prototype Cup Germany, because Berke Besler and Marvin Dienst, who won the championship last year, not defending this year. The junior championship went to Donna Munding last year, so we'll have a new champion this year. Incidentally, Robin Rogowski is currently leading the junior championship, well, tying it with Valentina Catalano.
Look at this. The crowd are standing up and applauding the repair team.
As indeed are we,
yes,
here in our commentary position.
Yes,
so,
we did.
Yeah, great job.
They're getting a bit of a lap of honour, aren't they?
Well, they flipping well deserve it. Yeah, great theme tunes all around. We'll have Whistling Jack Smith next. Ice creams for them, I should think, in the pit lane afterwards. They deserve that. I should think there's a few sweaty people after that. Frantic work in the 31.7 degrees centigrade. And listen to that.
Oh,
wonderful.
That's really good. Really, really good.
Without them, we couldn't go racing. Without the medical crew have also...
Oh, they're all cheering for them.
We should send them round again. We got time, haven't we? We've still got 3.5 minutes before this race gets underway. So good job done. The barrier is repaired, and very shortly we will be getting ready.
Some chap that was out shopping,
he says,
his car behind has just tagged on. I thought, I'll have some of this.
There's not a lot of traffic on the road here today. What's going on?
It's not true. We're being flippant.
I was giving you an update on championships before you started.
Let's get back to that. I was so looking forward.
Yeah, all right, we'll have less of that. Drivers' Championship, Gary Hauser and Marcus Pommer leading with 105 points, 4 points behind Rogowski and Catalano, as already mentioned. Third, Julian Apostolos and Oscar Tunyo, 86 points to them. So what's that, 14? Oh, crumbs, so what's the maths of that? 14. 19 points off the lead. And the Junior Championship, Robin Rogowski and Valentino Catalano lead Max van der Snell.
Hang on a minute.
Get off the podium. That's my place. And Julian Apostolos in third. And in the Trophy Championship...
Tap up there celebrating, Ryan. Forgive me.
Well, why not? Take your chance. That'll be on Instagram within the hour. Mark van der Snell leading the Trophy Championship. Great job from him. Kevin Rorscheit and Wolfgang Bayer in second place in the Trophy Championship. Oh, dear.
That's a multicoloured umbrella. I like that. Reagan
not that funny.
In Germany?
Yes, lovely.
I like that.
Yes.
Hello, how are you?
We've lost control.
I'm Dave. Brian is alongside me.
The lunatics have taken over the asylum, and not a moment too soon. We are 2 minutes away from this race recommencing.
Tobias Scheiben, isn't it? To the right-hand side of the picture?
Well, it looks like. I don't think it is.
He's had a couple of biscuits since he did the last podium. But
he's having a couple there as well.
Get them two off.
The family crowd. Well, he turned my mic off mid-flow yesterday, did the man alongside me, so yes, be warned. Up on the tribune, there we go. Finally, the tribune being used for something what it's meant to be used for, and that is entertainment, and the crowd looking down.
Oh, they're loving us. Look at this.
Do you reckon they're listening in? Hello, give us a wave. Let's have a Mexican wave. We're going to see if you can hear us, let's have a Mexican wave.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I tell you what, they hang on your every word.
They do, don't they? I think both the people who are watching are going to be hanging on it, I think, at this rate.
Command such respect. Amazing.
Right. Pull ourselves together. We're into a minute before this race gets going. Great to see the crowd has stayed with us for what has been a very extended stoppage. And my big thanks to, big thanks to Dave Richardson for bailing me out. Bailing our wonderful audience out, having to just listen to me waffling along for the last hour or whatever. You can see the cars are now on the grid, and hopefully we will get the formation lap underway in just a few moments. So the sun is shining, 30 seconds to go. The Cupra safety car is standing by. Let's see if we can get this thing under a green flag before too long. Of course, a nice short lap here. So it will be a shortened race by a few minutes, 52 minutes plus 1 lap. My co-commentator exits stage left to go and get a cup of tea. His work here is done. My work here now is to call what is an absolute privilege, the Prototype Cup Germany Race 7 of a 12-race season. It seemed like a long time ago. That's because it was. Finally, a long time later, we get the formation lap underway, and we will be racing very shortly. So this formation lap, critical to get heat into the tyres, into the brakes. Let's have another look at the starting grid. Lawrence Herr on pole position, Marcus Pommer alongside for racing experience. Duquesne front row, Oscar Tunio, Max van der Snel, very impressive there, the Ligier alongside the Duquesne on row 2. Row 3, Garcia Espidar Belen, who is standing in for Gabriel Chukova, and Jan Marszalkowski going solo this weekend in the number 14 car. Robin Rogowski and Gustavo Kirila line up on row 4, and on row 5, Dino Steiner and Jakob Erlbacher. Row 6 of the grid will appear in just a few moments. There we go, Danny Sufi and Sebastian von Gartzen. And then bringing up the rear of the grid, it will be just Kevin Rorschach, of course, Alex Cascatau having been the cause of the original stoppage. It does look like we are potentially, yes, we're getting a second formation lap, which is important because we need to make sure the tyres are up to temperature here behind the safety car, and the clock will start ticking in just a few moments, I have no doubt. So here we go, safety car just leading the cars around, and it will be a rolling start for these mighty LMP3 monsters. It is the Prototype Cup Germany here at the Norisring. So there is the point standings coming into this event. It was Gary Hauser and Marcus Pommer ahead of Valentino Catalano, Robin Rogowski, Oscar Tunio, Julian Potholos. Well, 19 points adrift. There is plenty of time still with 25 points for a win, so plenty of opportunities to close in on that. We will see how they get on as this weekend and indeed this season progresses. Now into the final section of the circuit, and around turn 4, and the cars side by side getting ready for the start of what is going to be race 7 of a 12-race season. It has been a delayed start, but now we are ready to go. The Prototype Cup Germany is about to roar into action. Hold on to your hats, the ground is gonna shake because 5 red lights go out, 2 green lights come on, the cars fan out, and we head towards turn 1, running very much side by side. Keep an eye on Rogowski in the number 77 car. He's got the inside line into turn 1, under braking. It looks like it's Rogowski who's going to lead the cars out of the first corner, keeping it out of the wall. The rest of the cars comes through, but a great start from Robin Rogowski, taking the lead. At least I think it was Rogowski in the orange, the gold and black car, leading the way out across the line. I'm just double checking, 72, I beg your pardon, it's Lawrence Herr, not Rogowski. So Lawrence Herr in the very identical car. Oh, we've got a car stationary out on track. So Lawrence Herr leading the way is Jakob Erlbacher, who looks like he's had a bit of contact with something. Right, we have some graphics, so it is Lawrence Herr from Marcus Pommer, ahead of Espinar Belen, who has come through into third place. Now, back, lap completed, there is Robin Rogowski in the number 77 car. So further back, I thought that was a bit of a demon start, not that good, around the outside, challenging the number 8 of Gustavo Kirila for position, not making it stick. The two Conrad Motorsport cars running together on track, but a great start from Lawrence Herr. It looked like he was going to get mugged at the beginning, but Marcus Pommer now slotting into the second place, and Belen Garcia Espinar in third place ahead of Max van der Snel. But maybe it was a prophetic word, because the number 77 car is now challenging for position. Robin Rogowski putting the pressure onto Gustavo Kirila in the BWT-sponsored pink Muka Motorsport car. Out onto the pit straight once again. Such a short lap here. It is 50 minutes of racing, and there will be a pit window, and there you can see it was a great start from Marcus Pommer, and Lawrence Herr drag race into the first corner, and then Herr to the inside under braking. The car behind locking up. I think that was Gabriel Espinar Belen, who slotted into third place, having locked the wheels up. And here's a replay of getting all of those cars around that very tight first corner. And there was that lock-up from the Van Ommen racing car. Look at this, a great slow motion traffic jam much into the corner, but they all make it around, no dramas there, and great job from the Prototype Cup Germany drivers. And that was where Jakob Erlbacher loses the back end. The car stays out of the wall, so he's able to rejoin, albeit out the back of the pack in 13th place. So another replay of him, and no contact, just going out wide. In fact, he did tag the wall, didn't he? So a bit of damage done to the number 70 car, which he's sharing with Mikael Lyons, the driver from America, who's jumping into the seat, replacing Courtney Crone, who started the season off at the seat of that car. So finally, we are racing. Finally, it settles down. It's Lawrence Herr from Marcus Pommer. Then it's Belen Garcia Espinar in third place, ahead of Max van der Snel and Jan Marszalkowski in fifth place. Great start from Jan Marszalkowski, ahead of Gustavo Kirila in the number 8 car, Robin Rogowski in the 77 car in seventh. And then the battle we're looking at there, it is Sebastian von Gartzen and Danny Sufi, the two Conrad Motorsport teammates now, being very careful not to make contact with each other. To the inside goes Sebastian von Gartzen, stealing the position away. Danny Sufi trying to race back around the outside, and they run side by side. The identical liveried cars, very similar indeed, and just behind them is the number 3 car with Dino Steiner. And he is there ready to jump if either of those two cars get together. Oscar Tunyo is in 8th place, so not the best of starts for Oscar Tunyo, and a bit of work to do from here, him in that position. He started 3rd, so he's dropped down through the order, and having been on such a crest of a wave in Prototype Cup Germany at the start of the season, an awful Zandvoort, and really struggling just to get back into the rhythm of the racing again at the second half of the season. But I'm sure he will come bouncing back as he continues to push on in 8th place. Every driver will score points, every driver that finishes, because points are paid down to 15th place in Prototype Cup Germany. So Lawrence Herr leading the way, about 3.3 seconds from Marcus Pommer. Then it is Belen Garcia Espinar in the 3rd place, ahead of Max van der Snel. So impressive there in 4th, and Jan Marszalkowski. Gustavo Kirila in 6th place, and Robin Rogowski, Oscar Tunyo, Danny Sufi that we're looking at, and Sebastian von Gartzen. So Sufi back in front at the moment, and the challenge from Sebastian von Gartzen falling by the wayside for the time being. But Lawrence Herr, what a great start from him. he has got out in front and he's opened up a gap, doing exactly what he needs to do in the number 72 car. You can see what that gap looks like. It was 3.7 seconds the last time they crossed the start-finish line. But Marcus Pommer, a multiple winner in ADAC GT Masters, now in the Prototype Cup Germany, having to work hard just to keep him in sight. Great job from car number 5, Belen Garcia Espinar, who is, as already mentioned, sitting in for Gabriel Jakova, who is on GT4 duty in France this weekend, but will be back. Belen Espinar doing a wonderful job as she pilots the number 5 car around this tricky street circuit here at the Norisring. So there is the Jakob Erlbacher car that we saw spinning, and a little bit of damage. And now with the leader coming up to challenge. Car number 3, Dino Steiner, is under investigation for an inaccurate starting position and has now been given a 5-second time penalty. So Dino Steiner incurring the wrath of the stewards for an inaccurate starting position, and what is probably the case is probably ducked out of line before he crossed the start-finish line. Each driver is required to pass through the pit boxes before starting to overtake the car in front at the start of the race, and if he didn't do that, then that is what will almost certainly have incurred the 5-second time penalty. There you go, there is confirmation. That'll be added on at the end of the race, I expect. They might want to add it on in the pit stop, but I expect it'll be added at the end instead. You're looking at the number 8 car, Gustavo Kirila, who has found a route past Jan Marszałkowski. So Marszałkowski, after a great start, and problems there. That is Sebastian von Gartzen in turn 1. So the number 22 Conrad Motorsport car pointing in the wrong direction. Now, can he keep it going? If he can't, if the engine comes to a stop and he can't restart it, we're going to see another safety car. Let's see what happened here. Was there any contact? Yes, there was. It looked like a helping hand from the car behind. And whoever that was behind, was that Dino Steiner? I think it might have been, who gave him a little bit of a nudge. Yes, it was. So car number 3, a helping hand from behind, sends the number 22 car straight on. So I should think Dino Steiner will once again be attracting the attentions of the stewards, and we'll see what happens there. And it looks like that Sebastian von Gartzen has been able to get the number 22 car rolling again, and that is a lock-up. Is that the aforementioned number 3 car? Yes, it is. So Dino Steiner, well, he's a one-man entertainment show at the moment, isn't he? So doing everything, but not actually moving forwards terribly much in 10th place. So we did see that Gustavo Kirila had found a route past Jan Marszałkowski after a great start from Jan Marszałkowski, the driver who took his debut win in the Prototype Cup Germany last time out. He's already a race winner in GT Masters, and now he's a race winner in Prototype Cup Germany. The first of many race wins, I have no doubt. The number 15 of Marcus Pommer working his way now through the traffic as Belen Garcia Espinar in 3rd place. Well, you wouldn't believe this was her first run in Prototype Cup Germany, would you? A very, very confident drive indeed in the number 5 car. She is experienced, but just not in this series. And she was seen in the W Series, of course, a couple of years ago, and has always impressed. So a very, very good driver in the number 5 car. We're looking still at number 8, Gustavo Kirila, in the BWT Muka Motorsport Duquesne D08, and he is now pushing forwards. It's a Max van der Snel who's next up ahead of him in the number 99 car. That's a back marker that he's working his way through at the moment. But Max van der Snel will be the next car that he targets. And Jan Marszałkowski fighting back in the background. Robin Rogowski in the orange, blue and black car. So Jan Marszałkowski, having lost that position to Gustavo Kirila, now lining him up, flashing the lights, using all the tricks in the book, out up towards turn 1 they come. That is the Grundig turn. He takes a little look. It's going to be the outside line. Can he go the long way around? It is a very long way around. Will he cut back to the inside? He does that. Jan Marszałkowski to the inside of Gustavo Kirila. In the background, Robin Rogowski and Oscar Tunio also fighting for position, but still it's Gustavo Kirila who holds on excuse me, to that position from Jan Marszałkowski. And that is for 5th place. Marszałkowski was in 5th for a while. He lost that position, now looking to get it back again. Of course, he needs to look after the tyres in this car. The tyres have to go the distance, and he's still got 41 minutes of racing plus 1 lap to go in that car. So, still, the number 8 car, Gustavo Kirila, holding on to position. Of course, Jan Marszałkowski, as a solo driver, will have an extended minimum pit stop time, which is not going to help him. But Kirila locking up into the corner. Marszałkowski has a little think about taking advantage, but is a little bit too far back. Robin Rogowski there as well. Oscar Tunio now getting into his rhythm in 8th place. So that is 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th all ready together out on the track. So 40 minutes, a little over 40 minutes remaining of this race plus 1 lap. That is that lock-up from Gustavo Kirila in the number 8 car. Holds it together. Marszałkowski just a little bit too far back to take advantage. Now car 3 has got a drive-through penalty. We saw him with that little nudge a little earlier. Dino Steiner for ADAC Motorsport, a drive-through penalty, and that is really going to ruin his afternoon. So that has been awarded by race stewards who had a feeling something might be incoming. Something that's outgoing is part of the rear bodywork of the Jakob Erlbacher car, because bits flailing and falling off the number 70 Gebhardt Motorsport Ginetta as a result of that collision with the fence earlier on in the race. Look how close to the wall some of these drivers are getting, using all of the track and more. There is confirmation of Dino Steiner's drive-through penalty, a driver who has been in the battles all afternoon, and now that drive-through penalty is going to relegate him from 10th place to the very back of the pack. We continue to look at Gustavo Kirila in the number 8 car. One of the closest battles on the track. It's still Lawrence who leads the way, 6.8 seconds to the good of Marcus Palmer. So the number 72 car very, very dialed in, and with Lawrence at the wheel, the gold-rated driver, of course, is going to be handing over to a bronze-rated driver after this, so a less experienced driver, so he really needs to make as much space as possible at the front of the pack while he can. And that's no disrespect to his co-driver, but Matthias Luton, his co-driver, as another lock-up from Gustavo Kirila. Matthias Luton, just a less experienced driver, not likely to have quite the pace of Lawrence Herr. So making the space while he can and hoping to hold on to that for the race win. Gustavo Kirila, so smoking the brakes a bit, adjusting the brake bias, I have no doubt at all. Still behind, it is Jan Marszałkowski, Robin Rogowski and Oscar Tunio. Tunio looks to the inside of Rogowski, now pulls alongside. They race side by side. Oscar Tunio, who was featuring very much in Prototype Cup Germany last year, unable to make the position stick at the moment. But now Robin Rogowski no longer able to challenge Jan Marszałkowski because he's having to defend. That releases Marszałkowski to put the heat on to Gustavo Kirila. So now Jan Marszałkowski can attack the pink car in front without risk of losing position. Now Oscar Tunio to the inside of Robin Rogowski, finds the position relatively easy, sees the gap, ducks through, and it is Oscar Tunio up into 7th place. Rogowski will try and fight back. He picks up a slipstream as they head along the straight. Let's have another look here at a replay of that. And yeah, he just got out wide. Robin Rogowski had to hit the brakes, missed his braking point, and then left a gap on the inside. That opened the door for Oscar Tunio to come steaming through to steal that position away. And now Tunio sets about after Jan Marszałkowski, and Rogowski just keeping it out of the wall. How close was that? About that close. You can see paint marks there from other cars. It might have been a slight brush. There's a car locking up in front. I think that might have been Dino Steiner, who's very much in the wars. But it is Gustavo Kirila who continues on his way. Now, is that a car going slowly? It looks like Robin Rogowski is running slowly. Yes, it is. So Robin Rogowski, after all that hard work, so when he brushed the wall, potentially damaging the number 77 car. So this is very significant in terms of the championship, because number 77 is circulating very slowly, clearly got a problem, and is dropping down the order. He's going to try and get back to the pits now. I don't think it's a puncture, but the car now peeling off into the pit lane. Is this into retirement? I don't know. It's not looking great though, is it? We're getting close to the pit window opening when the clock strikes 33, so we're about 3 minutes away from the pit window opening, so it's not a scheduled pit stop. As we look at once again at Lawrence Hurst, still stretching that lead, now over 6 seconds from Marcus Pommer in second place. Marcus Pommer with Belen Espinar in third place in the number 5 Van Ommen Racing car, and then Max van der Snel behind her. So the pit window will open in just a couple of minutes, and this will be the opportunity for the cars to come into pits. Every car will need to stop at some point or the other within 10 minutes of the pit window opening. The single drivers will be stopped for a longer time in the pits. There is a minimum pit stop time for everybody. It's an 85-second minimum pit stop time. And then a handicap is added. Oh dear, that's Robin Rogowski. And well, that's not a puncture, is it? That looks like something terminal in the DKR Engineering Duquesne. And it doesn't look like he is going to be rejoining the track anytime soon. Very significant in the championship, because they were 4 points off the championship lead. Gary Hauser and Marcus Pommer, of course, continuing in second place. Still challenges for position further back down the order. Dino Steiner is in 9th place, but I think is still yet to serve his drive-through penalty. So the battles continue. Now, I was telling you about the pit stop. Minimum pit stop time of 85 seconds plus a handicap, depending on the grading of the driver. Every driver has a grading that is awarded by the FIA. A gold driver combined with a bronze driver will have 20 seconds added onto the minimum pit stop time. So that'll be Lawrence Herr and Matthias Luton as a gold and bronze driver. The silver-silver driver combination is an extra 20 seconds. The solo driver in the silver category is an extra 25 seconds. A bronze and silver driver, which is what Max and Mark and van der Snel are, will have just 10 seconds added to that minimum pit stop time. So they will potentially gain an advantage through the pit stop sequence. That is all coming up in about 50 seconds time when the pit window opens for 10 minutes. It sounds complicated, but it's a great way of leveling the playing field and giving the younger, less experienced drivers something to play for, something to fight for, but also allowing for the experience of the drivers, the gold drivers, as well. As we now look at Oscar Tunjo released to fight Gustavo Kirila. So Tunjo up into that 6th place, and Jan Marszałkowski has been relegated another position down into 7th. So Marszałkowski going the wrong way down the order at the moment in the number 14 car. The Ligier, well, there are not many Ligiers out on track, so one of just 4 Ligiers in the series, and Jan Marszałkowski has been the only Ligier winner this year, but clearly not finding the pace of the cars in front. And the Van der Snels also running a Ligier. They are the quickest Ligier at the moment in P4. And you can see them there just coming out of the top of your picture. So the fights continue all of the way through, and we're waiting, and a lock-up from Gustavo Kirila. That's exactly what Oscar Tunjo needed him to do, forcing him into a mistake. Kirila locks the brakes, leaves a gap on the inside, and Oscar Tunjo now putting the memories of Zandvoort well and truly behind. Tunjo up into 5th place, now sets after Max van der Snel. Not going to be long before he catches up with him. Let's have another look here. Under braking into the corner. A puff of blue smoke means a lock-up of the brakes, and you see a nice inviting gap for Oscar Tunjo to duck into, steal the position away. I can guarantee that Julian Apostolos in the pit will be cheering at the top of his voice. Now, I did say the pit window was going to open at 33. I think it is going to be later than that in this, so it will be in a few minutes yet. So I think it might be 23 that the pit window opens in this race. So we're not quite at the pit window yet. And then when the window opens, that is when there'll be the 10 minutes for cars to come in. So we'll just keep an eye on that. Of course, with the slightly delayed start, things have been very much up in the air in terms of timings and arrangements. We're looking at Gustavo Kirila now being blue flagged and now falling back into the clutches of Jan Marszałkowski, who will be very keen to regain those positions that were lost early on. He is in 7th place and has tasted victory, tasted the top step of the podium at the last event. Now would dearly love to get back onto that podium. Gustavo Kirila still fighting all the way in the BWT racing car in that 6th place. So Gustavo Kirila still there at the moment, but the concentration, these are tough cars to drive. The driver who raced in Brazil, he is Brazilian, and is very much learning this on the job in the Prototype Cup Germany. Right, more challenges further on. That is a Conrad Motorsport car challenging a back marker to get past, and that is Danny Sufi in the number 2 car. The number 3 car who is behind is the Dino Steiner car, which has been making the headlines for much of the day so far. Right, here we go, the pit window opening at 30 minutes into the race today. So we are 5 seconds away. 4, 3, 2, 1, and the pit window is now open. I'm going to suggest that the Quarren Kempe Motorsport team will want to keep Lawrence Herr out for as long as possible. He is very rapid at the front of the field. He's got an open track in front of him, so I would suggest they'll want to maximise their fastest driver and keep him out for as long as possible before he comes in and hands over to Matthias Luton. Marcus Pommer in 2nd place. Well, he will be handing over to Gary Hauser, another silver-rated driver in the Racing Experience Duquesne. Right, in comes the number 22 car. It's Sebastian von Gartzen. He's had a fairly eventful day. He peels off from 10th place down into the pits, and it is Maximilian Hacklander who will be taking over. Maximilian Hacklander, who we have seen in GT3 racing for many, many years. Very experienced driver. He was in GT Masters from 2016 to 2021. Last year, made the switch to LMP3 racing and has enjoyed it very much, getting a hot wax and a vacuum in the car in the pit stop. Well, not quite the vacuum, but making sure the windscreen is clear. Here come other cars into the pits. I should think Dino Steiner will be quite happy to hand that car over permanently to Konstantin Skoll, because that has been a lively first stint for him. Is also Kevin Rorschach handing over to Wolfgang Payer in the number 12 car. And of course, they have a shorter pit stop than the other drivers on account of them being a bronze driver pairing. Bronze and bronze drivers will have a shortened pit stop and will be able to rejoin quicker than the others. It's still Lawrence Herr continues out in front, once again straddling the bonnet to clean the windscreen, keeping a good line of sight. You can see that we've lost Robin Rogowski and of course Alex Cascatau, who never took the start of the race. Now in comes Gustavo Kirila, handing over to Nico Gerler, the BWT Mucker Motorsport pilot, who has been associated with BWT Mucker for much of his career. Started in the ADAC Formula 4 series and very closely associated with the BWT Mucker team. So out of the car gets Gustavo Kirila, an eventful time in the number 8 BWT Mucker Duquesne D08. Now on board gets Nico Gerler, and he is on board that car. Right, out comes the 22 of Maximilian Hacklander. Pit stop done. Lawrence Herr still out there in the lead of the race. Hasn't done a pit stop yet. Neither has Marcus Pommer, and neither has Belen Garcia Espinar. So it is the leader coming past and lapping the Maximilian Hacklander car, but of course he will still have to stop. So that will unlap again once the pit stop sequence has been done and dusted. You can see your order there from the graphic on the screen. Lawrence Herr leading the way from Marcus Palmer, still out on track, 3.1 seconds last time around. Well, that has closed up, so Marcus Palmer has been closing in for the last few laps on Lawrence Herr and has got it now down to a little over 2 seconds. So whether that is Lawrence Herr just trying to save the car or whether the tyres are starting to fade on the number 72 car remains to be seen. But Lawrence Herr in the lead, still yet to stop. Marcus Palmer closing the gap in, still Belen Garcia Espinar in third place, who will be handing over to Xavier Loveras during this pit sequence. So the 1, 2, 3 remaining very much the same. Max van der Snel, another driver who I think is going to stay out very late into the pit window before handing over to his dad, Mark van der Snel. And Jan Marszałkowski up into 5th place, but of course he has yet to make his pit stop. He will be stopping in the pits for what will feel like a painfully long time, but he will not be swapping with another driver doing the solo duties. Right, we're looking at a replay here. Is that Jan Marszałkowski? Yeah, it was him getting a drift on, but the car behind him looked like Jakob Erlbacher having yet another spin, spending more time with the raceway going around him than him going around the raceway, pointing the car back in the right direction. He'll be pleased to hand that over to Michael Lyons, the ADAC Motorsport Ginetta, one of 3 Ginettas that are racing in the Prototype Cup Germany this season. You can see him smoking the brakes, getting out onto that paving, which is just very slightly banked, and when used to good effect actually helps the drivers around to the corner, but in this case has just seen him swap ends. Right, Herr leads the way, Marcus Palmer, Belen, Gabriel Espinar in 3rd, Marks van der Snel in 4th. In 5th, Jan Marszałkowski. All of those drivers still yet to stop. Danny Sufi also yet to stop. And look at that, smoke coming from the number 72 car. We saw that it was going slow, so is there a problem for the number 72 car, or was that a lockup? Lawrence Herr, we saw smoke coming from the car. It might have just been a brake issue of some sort, but that has allowed Marcus Palmer to close right in on the race leader. Both cars still yet to pit, but number 72 now within easy reach of 2nd place, because Marcus Palmer closing in 1.6 seconds last time around, and now 1.2 seconds. So I'm wondering if Lawrence Herr is starting to struggle with that car. There is Matthias Luton waiting to jump into the seat. I think there's some tense moments for him. So that car will be under his control, assuming the number 72 makes it to the pit window. I think it might have just been a lockup. We saw the smoke coming from the number 72 car, but it has been Marcus Palmer who has been reeling him in for the last few laps. In the background, 4.2 seconds behind, is Belen Gabriel Garcia Espinar, beg your pardon, in 3rd place. So a little way back, still remaining out. There's still 3.5 minutes of the pit window opening, and still Lawrence Herr, as we thought might be the case, staying out as late as possible into the pit window. Now, the Belen Garcia Espinar car for Van Oven Racing into the pits as well. So the number 5 car peeling off into the pits lanes. That elevates temporarily Max van der Snel up into 2nd place. Marcus Palmer still in the 2nd place car, so 3rd place for Max van der Snel. Jan Marszałkowski will jump up into 4th place, but he will still need to take his mandatory stop as well. 23 minutes of this race remaining. There is 1st and 2nd now in the same shot. A little over a second separating 1st and 2nd. Both cars still yet to visit the pits. Is the number 72 car ailing? Has he taken too much out of the tyres, or is he just pacing himself to the end of the race, saving the car so that Matthias Luton has some rubber on the tyres come checkered flag time and the 55 minutes plus 1 lap of this race being completed? Marcus Palmer not backing out of it. will soon be handing over to Gary Hauser. Again, Palmer the most experienced, so maximising the fastest driver of the pair, one would suggest. So the two more experienced drivers in first and second will be handing over to less experienced drivers in a moment in the pit window. Julian Apostolos has now taken over from Oscar Tunyo, out in 7th place. Here, first and second. Still 2 minutes remaining of this pit window. They can still stretch it for another couple of laps if they choose to do so. There's Matthias Luton looking intently at the monitor, waiting to jump into the seat. Nervous moments, I should think, for Matthias Luton, the reigning trophy champion, looking to defend his championship in the trophy category of this series. Still, Lawrence remains out on track. Racing in the anti-clockwise direction here at the Norisring, out again towards the wall. Keeping it nice and steady. Holding the gap of just a little over a second to Marcus Palmer in second place. Max van der Snel still in that third place. Danny Sufi has been into the pits for his mandatory stop and rejoins. Looking again at a slow-mo of Max van der Snel under braking into the corner. You get the feeling that the tyres and the brakes are starting to wear a bit thin in these cars after what has been 35 minutes of racing. Now here comes the number 15 car, Marcus Palmer, getting ready to hand over to Gary Hauser. Let's see how this shakes out. There is Gary Hauser. He comes out. There's a limited number of mechanics allowed to work on the car. Palmer is out. His job is done. And now the seat insert is removed. Drivers of different build. Gary Hauser now jumps on board. Feet in first. Gets himself slotted into the monocoque of that car. The racing experienced Duquesne DO8. Lawrence now also in the last possible minute, because there's only 15 seconds of the pit window remaining. So our race leader also into the pits, getting ready to hand over to co-driver Matthias Luton. There is Matthias, poised and ready for action. The pit window now closes. Everybody has been in for their stop, or is in. Jan Marszalkowski, he's also stopping, but not exiting the car. He's a solo driver, and he has got an extra long wait in his pit box. The rest of the drivers are doing their business quite relaxed. There's plenty of time. Now, Matthias Luton takes over the wheel of the number 72 car. There is the number 15 car. So first and second, you can see them both in the pits. Remember, there is a minimum pit stop time. They can't go below that pit stop time. Right, the 15 car is now rolling. He moves out of the pit lane. Where is he in relation to that car there? Well, he's going to be ahead of him, isn't he? So out comes the car. The good wishes are wished to the number 72 pilot, Matthias Luton. Of course, the minimum pit stop time, meaning that he's stationary for longer. But it's going to be number 15, Gary Hauser, who takes control of this race when this is all said and done. So here he comes. The engine is running. I think it's going to be Hauser. Of course, later into the pits, a lap later, was Matthias Luton. So there was that lap difference between them, but I think this is going to be Hauser. Right, the car now running. Let's keep an eye on this. Out of the pit lane he comes, but look at this. Gary Hauser comes along the pit straight. Now the 72 car, Matthias Luton, out of the pit lane, but it is Gary Hauser who takes the lead of the race. And it is going to be the 72 car that drops back into second place. I'm waiting for confirmation of that in the evening sunshine. There is the 72 car. There he is in second place. So the pit window working in favour of car 15, Marcus Palmer, handing over to Gary Hauser. There was that period of time where the 72 car was stationary and waiting, and eventually got rolling, but Matthias Luton now surrendering the lead into second place. Now, Max van der Snel has handed to Mark van der Snel, and it is Xavier Leveras in fourth place in the number 5 car. Julian Apothelos up into 5th place. Nico Gerler into 6th, Danny Sufi, a solo driver ahead of another solo driver, Marshall Kowski down to 8th as a result of that extended pit stop. And then Maximilian Haglander, Konstantin Skoll, Michael Lyons in the number 70 car, and Wolfgang Peyer rounding out the top 12. So that is your order with the pit stops done and dusted. Everybody has been through the pit stop sequence, and the headline is Gary Hauser, who takes the lead of the race in the number 15 Racing Experience Duqueine. Matthias Luton, a little way back, about 3.5 seconds now. All is done and dusted. Now, challenges for positions. That is, looks like, is that Van der Snel? Yes, it is. And the number 3 of Konstantin Skoll. So Konstantin Skoll is on lap 37, Max van der Snel, Mark van der Snel is on lap 39, so a lapped car in front. Van der Snel a lap ahead of the car that he's trying to pass, so there will be blue flags waving for that car at some point or the other. Right, take stock time, 16 minutes remaining. It is Gary Hauser leading the way. Matthias Luton in second place. The jump was made as a result of the pit stop. Xavier Leveras in third place. Mark van der Snel in fourth place. Currently working his way through and fending off backmarking traffic. It's not a battle he needs to get into, because car number 3 is down in 10th place with Konstantin Skoll at the wheel. And I expect the team will be on the radio saying, come on, let him go. You don't need to get into an accident with this car because you are not fighting for position with him. Car number 99, though, a drive-through penalty. Mark van der Snel speeding in the pit lane. Oh, no. After such a lot of hard work, Max van der Snel did all the hard work, speeding in the pit lane by one of the 2 drivers, and a drive-through penalty. Car 99, well, he may well be fighting with Konstantin Skoll on the same lap once that drive-through penalty is done. Now look at this, a challenge. Xavier Leveras looking for second place, fighting with Matthias Luton. Xavier Leveras, a more experienced pilot, trying to challenge for that position. 72 in second place at the moment, but for how much longer? Xavier Leveras, who took over from Belen Garcia Espinar in the number 5 car, now lining up along the pit straight, looks to the inside coming into turn 1. There's a little kink to the right, and then it will be the inside into the corner under heavy braking, and Leveras is up into second place. Matthias Luton down into 3rd in the number 72 car. So Leveras taking that position away. That is second and third behind them. Some distance back is Julian Apothelos. The distance is 6.759. So without a safety car, Apothelos going to struggle to get onto the podium, but will be pleased just to pick up points here as we look at a replay. Took a totally different line into the corner, a very bumpy line into the corner. But Xavier Leveras stealing that position away. The 23-year-old Spanish driver who has experience in Asian Le Mans, has also been in GT4 Europe, came through Formula 4 Spain, a very experienced driver, was very quick in pre-season testing or pre-event testing, and now Xavier Leveras up into second place. Good stuff there on the number 5 car. So the drive-through penalty for Van der Snel has dropped him all the way down to 7th place at the moment. And Jan Marszałkowski will have his eyes on a potential elevation in a point score if he can get close to the number 99 car, and he does just that, up into 7th place for Jan Marszałkowski, and Mark van der Snel down into 8th place. The number 72 car that led for so long now into 3rd place with Matthias Luton at the wheel, but looking pretty solid because Julian Apothelos a long way back. Now that's Jan Marszałkowski and Mark van der Snel getting together, and also in there Wolfgang Peyer as well. Now Marszałkowski, it doesn't look like he's had any damage, But 3 cars going into that corner. Marshall Kowski coming out in front. And that is a car into the pit lane. Now, is that Van der Snel doing a penalty, a drive-through penalty, also for car 22. That is for Maximilian Hacklander. That is for a pit stop infringement, going below the pit stop time. So car 22 was the other one who also had a drive-through penalty. So the afternoon goes from bad to worse for Maximilian Hacklander. So cars out of position from where they were as a result of steward intervention. But no mistake about our race leader, Gary Hauser from Xavier Loveras, Matthias Luton in 3rd, Julian Apostolos in 4th, Nico Gerler into 5th place, Danny Sufi in 6th, Jan Marshall Kowski in 7th place. The incident, though, between Jan Marshall Kowski and Mark van der Snel is under investigation by our race stewards. So currently the cars circulating in 7th and 8th. There are videos that are being reviewed in race control as we speak. We'll let you know if there is any penalty incoming. At the moment, the fighting continues as Mark van der Snel now further back in the number 99 car. The black and red car in front, a lap down. Right, let's have another look at this. The incident that is under investigation. You can see that Marshall Kowski sees a gap to the inside. Van der Snel goes to close the door. Now, was there contact between them? Did Marshall Kowski have room? I think that car 12, Wolfgang Peyer, very much an innocent party in all of that. He got caught out, running in 12th place anyway at the moment. That is a replay of a lock-up from the aforementioned Wolfgang Peyer into the corner. So the stewards reviewing video and seeing whether there is any penalty to be awarded between Marshall Kowski and Van der Snel. A little over 10 minutes of this race remaining. Gary Hauser is our race leader. That is Xavier Loveras, is it? No, it is Julian Apostolos. And just working their way through backmarking traffic, both Loveras and Apostolos, who race for Jörg van Ormen's team, the Van Ormen Racing by Data Lab Racing car. And there is the 12th place, Wolfgang Peyer. The bronze partnership with Kevin Rorscheit, doing well, just picking up points consistently, and circulating will score points if they finish this race. So you can see the gap between Gary Hauser and Xavier Loveras. So Loveras has been taking time out of the race lead, but is it going to be enough? 2.9 seconds with less than 10 minutes remaining of this race. Gary Hauser, well, looks to have things under control. So 2.9 seconds last time across the start-finish line. We'll keep an eye on that gap and see what happens. There is Gary Hauser in the number 15 car. 2.949 was the gap last time. Xavier Loveras in 2nd place. Matthias Luton in 3rd place. Across the line, we go again, 2.583. So the gap is coming down. Is it coming down quick enough? Xavier Loveras definitely has got a thing for this winning. Won the last time out from pole position at Zandvoort. This is an altogether different experience. Black and white flag has been awarded to Mark van der Snel for pushing another car. That would be the incident with Jan Marshall Kowski. The black and white flag is a warning, so no penalty has been awarded as such, but if anything along those lines happens again, then a penalty may be incoming. Right, Loveras absolutely stretching the car to the limit, using all of the track to try and close in on the number 15 car. 2.583 was the gap last time. 2.196 this time, so another 0.4 of a second taken out of the lead. The gap is coming down. What can he do in 8 minutes plus 1 lap? There is first, there is second. Some would say that with a target to home in on, it's easier. So Loveras can see his foe in front of him. He can see the driver that he's trying to reel in. Gary Hauser is gonna have his mirrors full of Xavier Loveras. I didn't think he could reel him in, if I'm honest, but that has proven to be the case, because that's exactly what he's doing. 7.5 minutes remaining plus 1 lap. This race is far from all over. Car 72 led for so long. Lawrence Hurt, followed by Matthias Luton, who took over the driving, led for so long. Then the race went the way of Marcus Palmer and Gary Hauser after the pit stop sequence. But now it is Xavier Loveras who's taken over from Belen Garcia Espinar that closes in on the lead car. 1.907. The gap is down to below 2 seconds. Continues to come down. 7 minutes remaining. What can Xavier Loveras do about Gary Hauser? 1.938 was the gap last time, 1.755. It continues to come down. Xavier Loveras giving it all that he's got as he tries to close in. This is the fight that we're focusing on. It is the fight for the lead of this race. Gary Hauser in number 15 can see his foe, the person that's chasing him in his rearview mirror, Xavier Loveras, reeling him in bit by bit. You can see the gap evolution there. You can see how much he's been closing in. 6.5 minutes remaining. Still, Hauser leads the way, holding on further back. There is Nico Gerler, Julian Apotholos. So Julian Apotholos making a move up into a podium position, having taken over from Oscar Tunyo, getting back to winning ways. It is now Jörg Van Orman racing by Datalab Racing Cars that are in second and third place. Nico Gerler elevated, no, removed off the podium and down into fourth place. And Matthias Luton now drops down into fifth. So the one-time race leading number 72 car moving the wrong way down through the pack. Danny Sufi will be the next car that will close in on number 72, but our focus is on the lead. It was 1.643 last time. It is now down, well, 1.643 when they crossed the line. So it is a lead that is compressing first and second. Nico Gerler there trying to fight back on Julian Apotholos, but not going to have much luck on that. It is Duquesne in the first 5 places now here in this, the Prototype Cup Germany. And it is race 7 of a 12 race season. Gary Hauser, what a nail-biting finish this is going to be. That is Julian Apotholos in the number 6 car, who has found a route past the pink number 8 Nico Gerler car. So let's see the gap once again. Gary Hauser, 1.3. It could be just enough to hold off Xavier Loveras, because Loveras not only has to catch him, he's also got to get past, and that is a tricky thing to do on this narrow, tight, short circuit here at the Norisring. It is the debut of Prototype Cup Germany on the streets of Nuremberg, and it is Gary Hauser who's looking to take the win here, the first win of Prototype Cup Germany here at Norisring. So cars still running together, some of them are lapped. That's Michael Lyons in the number 70 car. Konstantin Skoll in the number 3 car is ahead of him. That's a car that has been in the wars in 10th place. Let's look again, 1.2 seconds. The gap continues to come down. 4 minutes remaining of this race, plus 1 lap. That plus 1 lap could prove to be critical at this rate. Still challenges for position further down. That is number 7 of number 70 of Michael Lyons, I beg your pardon, the leading car coming through the back marking traffic. Now Xavier Loveras has to fight his way past Michael Lyons, the back marking car, the number 70 car in 11th place. He needs to get past as quickly as possible. This will play into Gary Hauser's hands, because Loveras has struggled to get past, has lost a bit of space, 1.146. Michael Lyons finally relinquishing that space on the track, and the lead battle continues, but it looks to me as though the gap has extended. It was 1.024 last time, and 0.6 of a second. That could be critical at the end of this race. Gary Hauser has opened up a gap as a result of the back marking traffic. Michael Lyons playing a strategic part in this race. Probably not deliberate, but it has been significant. You can see it was 0.6 of a second that opened up in the last lap that we had. Less than 3 minutes remaining. The order remains the same at the front. Gary Hauser, Xavier Lovras throwing everything that he's got, including the kitchen sink, into chasing down the leader. 1.635 was the gap last time. Now we're back into traffic again. The blue flags are waving. How quickly can Gary Hauser negotiate the traffic? How quickly can Lovras do it? Right, 1.381, should I say, last time was the gap. So the gap not coming down quick enough for us to see a change of the lead. Personally, I think Gary Hauser might have done enough, working the traffic exactly as he needed to do. It is Van der Snel in front, and Van der Snel, who now is in the way, Xavier Lovras, and just fighting for position himself. The 99 car in 8th place, so lapping up to 8th place. And still Lovras unable to find a route through, so this is going to be very significant because we're in the final 2 minutes of the race. Gary Hauser leading the way. The closing, Xavier Lovras, well, the charge has been halted very much by the traffic. 1.876, so that is a gap that is relatively comfortable with 90 seconds plus 1 lap remaining of this race 7 of a 12-race season, the first race of the second half of the season for Prototype Cup Germany. Gary Hauser leads the way. Xavier Lovras in 2nd place, now looking pretty solid. The 1-2 in 3rd place, Julian Apostolos. He is some 8.2 seconds down from Xavier Lovras, so there's not going to be a challenge for 2nd place. Nico Gerler just holding station in 4th place. He ran in the podium positions for a while, but has been relegated. Matthias Luton, who had led for a while along with co-pilot, is now, Lawrence Hurd now down into 5th place. Danny Sufi in 6th, Jan Marszalkowski in 7th, ahead of Mark van der Snel and Max Hacklander, Konstantin Skoll. Michael Lyons in 11th place and Wolfgang Peyer in 12th place. We're into the last 30 seconds of timed racing. Once the clock strikes 0, the drivers will do 1 more complete lap, and then it will be the checkered flag. And Gary Hauser has worked the traffic, an absolute treat. Xavier Lovras, though, has closed back in. How did he make up that much space in such a short period of time? So it is 0.8 of a second between 1st and 2nd. The clock, is it going to strike 0 before they cross the line? I think we could be on to the final lap. We'll wait for confirmation of that. Gary Hauser will certainly be hoping that. We've had no confirmation that it is the last lap, so it depends on whether they cross the line before the clock strikes 0 or not. This can be very significant. So Gary Hauser holding on to the lead. It is Xavier Lovras in 2nd place. It looks like we're going to have 1 more lap after this. Gary Hauser, he's got all the pressure on his shoulders. The clock has struck 0. Xavier Lovras, is he going to make a last challenge for the win of this race? It's a race that felt like it started a long time ago. We had a stoppage, but now we start the final lap of the race. What has Xavier Lovras got that he can bring to Gary Hauser? Now into turn 1 for the final time. Gary Hauser looks to me as though he's done just about enough. Xavier Lovras can see him just in front, but still Gary Hauser holding on to that lead position. What a charge for Xavier Lovras. They head around turn 3, out towards turn 4 for the very last time, but I don't think he's got anything for Gary Hauser. Gary Hauser now up to the final turn for the last time this afternoon, out onto the pit straight. He will see the checkered flag in front of him. Xavier Lovras hasn't quite got enough time. It's the checkered flag to Gary Hauser. Xavier Lovras in 2nd place. Julian Apostolos, great recovery for him, into 3rd. Nico Gerler holding on into 4th place. And then it's Matthias Luton having led the race for a while. Danny Sufi, Jan Marszałkowski in 7th, Mark van der Snel, Maximilian Hacklander and Konstantin Skoll. Michael Lyons in 11th, ahead of Wolfgang Peyer. What a thrilling finish to the race that was. Gary Hauser, you get the feeling that 1 or 2 more laps, it might have been a different story, because Xavier Lovras really had the pace in the closing stages of that race. But it's Gary Hauser and Marcus Pommer who take the win in this, which has been race 7 of a 12-race season. It has been a long, drawn-out affair as a result of a lengthy stoppage at the start for Alex Cascatau, who never took the green flag as a result of an incident on the formation lap, and then repairs that needed to be made to the fence. We did finally get going, albeit delayed, and then a thrilling race with Gary Hauser coming out on the top step of the podium. Brilliant stuff from the Prototype Cup Germany. Some hour and 3/4 after our original attempt to start the race. And now finally into Parc Fermé come the cars. The number 15 car, the Racing Experience Duquesne, the team from Luxembourg, just down the road from the Saxon Ring, really. Oscar Tunyo and Julian Apostolos. Finally, their luck turns around. When you look at their start to the season, they had a first, a third, a first, a second, and then 2 non-finishes at Zandvoort. But now back into a podium position with a 3rd place. And there's Gary Hauser. He kept his head despite immense pressure from Xavier Lovras in the closing stages of that race. It was Gary Hauser who kept it all together. Has been racing LMP3 since 2019, was 5th in the series last year, Prototype Cup Germany, in the inaugural series. And along with Marcus Pommer, a very formidable driver combination. So, the hands device. Cheeky little slap. Gary Hauser. Matthias Luton, 5th place, having taken over from Lawrence Hurt. And Lawrence Hurt, who did have such a big lead. And of course, we have to remember that Lawrence Hurt is a gold-rated driver, and Matthias Luton a bronze-rated driver. Thank you. And there is Gary Hauser, along with Marcus Pommer, both silver-rated drivers. And of course, Gary Hauser, one of the movers and shakers in the Racing Experience team. There is the points championship, with Hauser and Pommer now with a really healthy 28 points over Oscar Tunyo and Julian Apostolos. That is a really strong place to be, with Valentino Catalano and Robin Rogowski in 3rd place. And they are some 29 points adrift. So the championship, the first of the second half of the season, very much in the favour of Gary Hauser and Marcus Pommer. So just, as always, listening into conversations and seeing if we can pick up any nuggets. And a very dramatic debut for Prototype Cup Germany here on the streets of Nuremberg. It is Marcus Pommer and Gary Hauser, ahead of Gabriel Espinar, Belen and Xavier Lovras, 2nd place. Oscar Tunyo and Julian Apostolos in 3rd. Gustavo Kiria and Nico Gerler in 4th. Lawrence Hurt and Matthias Luton in 5th. Danny Sufi in 6th. Jan Marszałkowski in 7th. The Van der Snels in 8th, ahead of Sebastian von Gartzen and Maximilian Hacklander. Dino Steiner, Konstantin Skoll, and then Jakob Elbacker, Michael Lyons, Kevin Rohrscheid and Wolfgang Peyer, the last of the runners. And of course, Big implications for the championship because Valentina Catalana and Robin Rogowski not finishing. Neither did Alex Cascatau and Elias Sparandio. Never even got a chance in the driving seat. So, Oscar Tunio. Hello, Matthias, good job done. Oscar Tunio and Julian Apotelos are currently onto the podium. And they will be mightily relieved to have stopped the rot of Zandvoort, a circuit that they will not look back with fond memories. The second place, Xavier Loveras and Belen Garcia Espinar. Of course, she's standing in for Gabrielle Yukova for this event. But the drivers, once again, to the top step of the podium, taking their second win of the season to go with 2 second places and a third place. It is Marcus Pommer and Gary Hauser for racing experience. And Matthias Luton, the leading trophy driver, also onto the podium. And a representative from Racing Experience also out onto the podium. And in just a few moments, we will be getting ready for the national anthem. So, national anthem done. A race that took a little longer to run than we had hoped for, but was worth it in the end, wasn't it? The first place trophies being presented by Wolfgang Schlosser, the chairman of the board of the Motorsport Club of Nuremberg. We see their logo all around this street circuit. They do a phenomenal job here as part of this event. Thomas Dill from ADAC Nordbayern, presenting the second place trophies. And our third place finishers also getting trophies from Ori Lichtenberg, from Creventic, of course, the co-promoters of this championship, along with the ADAC. Creventic very much involved with prototype racing around the world, and very key in this championship. The team also getting a trophy, Racing Experience. And a bit of confusion over who to give the trophy and junior championship trophies to. So the junior winners, Xavier Loveras and Belen Garcia Espinar, and the trophy championship winner going to Matthias Luton. They need a wheelbarrow to get all that lot home. Onto the podium for the photographs. And then in just a few moments, the celebrations will commence. Smiles all around. The celebrations will be short-lived because tomorrow we do it all again. It will be race 8 of the 12-race season. Can you believe it? We're heading towards the penultimate round of this, the Prototype Cup Germany, here in this second season. But the first ever visit of Prototype Cup Germany to the streets of Nuremberg has been spectacular. The Norisring. Race 1 of 2 this weekend, and we have enjoyed it. The headline, Gary Hauser and Marcus Pommer. Can they make it 2 out of 2 tomorrow? Join us then to find out. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.